Hello guys, I am Hitesh Tripathi and we are back with our playlist for ReactJS, and in this video we are going to see what are components in ReactJS since we are starting from scratch. Okay, and what are the types of components and how you can write a simple component in ReactJS. Okay, but before this I will introduce you to Newton School. So basically you all must know that Newton School is an e-learning platform which have different programs especially designed for you. So their first program for you is that their full stack development course, okay, under which they will teach you for 6 months or train you for 6 months and make you a full stack developer. And not only this, after that they will also get you placed in these different companies which they have tie up with. Okay, so they will arrange your referral and so that you can just appear in the interviews of these big giant companies. Not only this, most amazing thing about this program is that you don't need to pay even a single penny until and unless you get placed in any of these companies for a minimum of 5 lakh CTC. Okay, so if you want to know more about this program of Newton School, you can just come to their website and apply now for free. Okay, some of their other programs are their Launchpad initiative, under which you can just start learning by login or signing up in their website, where they have different courses especially designed for you. And one more amazing initiative is Grand Coding Contest, under which you can just perform very well by coding some good problems in their contest, and you can get a direct interview with these companies. Okay, which since these companies hire via their ground coding contest also. In the end, if you haven't subscribed this YouTube channel where I am posting videos of React.js and you have different playlists especially designed for you for free, you can just go to YouTube, subscribe Coding Talkies and bookmark this playlist if you want regular updates of React.js videos. Okay, React.js from scratch. So now let's start with today's video, in which we are going to learn components and props. So for general information, I have already told you their documentation website. Okay, so if you want a quick definition of components, you can just refer to this definition. Components let you split the UI into independent reusable pieces and think about each piece in isolation. This page provides an introduction to the idea of components, blah blah. Okay, so what a component is? Component is a simple piece of code, okay, which is independent from other components, fine, and that can also get reused. Okay, this is the most amazing thing about it. You can reuse same component many times. Okay, and you can use any number of components in your application while you are building a React app. Fine. So suppose for say you have a website which is built in React and you have used around 100 of components or 200 of components. That components can be independent of each other. Okay, second thing, one component can be nested inside other component also. Fine. So if you want to nest a single component inside other component, you can do that also. And some more amazing thing is, like, you can pass a state or props via functions in components. Okay, so suppose let's just suppose अभी हमने props देखे नहीं है. We will see what are props and then we will talk about it more. Fine. So if I just talk about this application, let's just say here you can see different things in this UI. Let's just talk about this nav bar. Okay, and this side menu bar and this main where all the content is getting displayed. So if I say that this application currently may have 2 or 3 components right now, or 2 or 3 components are visible right now to you in the browser. First component can be this nav bar, inside which all the docs, tutorial, blog and community is listed. Second component can be this one, where you can use this functional menu or menu of topics, okay, or content index. And third component can be this one, inside which your content is getting displayed. Now suppose I just click this thing. Okay, on clicking this thing, you are changing this component. Okay, so on performing some action on this component, you are changing this component. So you can say that somewhere this component is listed inside this menu or content index component. Okay, or let's just say I clicked here on the tutorial part and it also changed this component. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, it may differ like from this example also, that this application or this website can have more components instead of that I have told you. Okay, so don't worry about it or don't get confused. What I am saying is that all the components can get related to each other also, or they can be independent or isolated from each other also. It doesn't matter. Fine. Like it is not mandatory to conclude one or to nest one component inside other, or you can do that also. So let's just talk about our code. So I hope you have already installed VS Code in your system or machine. In previous video, we have built a React app using create React app package. So we created a demo app inside which we were having different folders, and under src folder I have already told you what is app.js file. So basically this is the only component which is going to get rendered as a complete application in the front end or in your browser. Inside this app component, you are going to place all your other components. Okay, so let's just say that right now this is a component where you are importing some of the files from outside, and then you are writing a function, say app, and inside it you are returning something. You are returning a div inside this, and inside div you are having some text. For now, let's just open the terminal and run this app. To run this app in your browser, you can simply write npm start and it will simply get started in your browser under localhost 3000, and you can simply see that your text is getting displayed here. So right now your application demo, which is named as demo, have only a single component and which is named as app component. Okay, if I am changing anything inside this, it is getting displayed again in your browser also. So what if now let's just so this is a complete component which get rendered in your front end. Okay, since I have already told you that you can have multiple components in your application. For say, since Facebook is backing this React, Facebook right now have more than 20 or 30,000 components in it. Okay, so the more complex your application is, the more number of components you will be having in your application. Now what if let's just talk about types of components. There are how many types of components are there? So there are basically two types of components. One is, if I say functional components, which is right now you are seeing in your VS Code. This is kind of functional component, okay, inside which you just describe the name of this functional component and you return something or some state from this functional component, and at the end you exported that functional component so that it can be used by other components which are already defined in your application, or it can get imported from other files also. Okay, so to import some component from this file to any other file, you must have to export that component. Fine, so I hope everything is clear right now. After that, second type of component is class component. Okay, so basically in previous, when React was under development, or in previous days, like around, there were two types of components, and usually class components work better than functional components. Why? Because in functional components were stateless components. Okay, and you can say class components were stateful components. Now in these days, since we have hooks in React, you can use states in functional components also. That's why functional components are more easy to write with hooks, and not that complex if we talk about class components. Okay, So when right now since we are seeing only simple React app, but we will go in deep. But when we will go in deep, we have to manage a state of our application also. Okay, like we have to do conditional rendering in the state of application. Okay, we have to re-render our component only when something specific is getting changed. So for that, we must know what are states in a component, and how can we just re-render or update that state. So for that, in previous days or in previous time, class components were better, because that was only possible with class components. But right now, since functional components also has hooks, so it is also possible with functional components. Okay, so this was some more information about functional components. Now, since I have already told you that functional components are more easy to write, and hooks in functional components are more easy or less complex than class components to manage a state of a functional component. So in this whole series, we are going to write only functional components, or I am going to give all of the examples using functional component also. But don't worry, I will also make a video over class component just after this video, or maybe next to next video, so that you get a better understanding of class components also. And whenever you see some code for practice or tutorial, and if it is written in class component, you don't get confused about it. Okay, so I will give you a good understanding of class components also. So right now, if I say that you have two types of components, that are functional components and class components. In class components, like uh, right now, since I am not discussing class components in deep, for that I'll be making a separate video. I just made this video to give you a brief about types of functional components. So where were we? Okay, so let's just open this, and we were in the components and props. So functional and class components, if I give you example from here only, I have already showed you your app component, and it was a type of functional component where we were writing the function and we were returning from that function something to the front end. Here you can see props. So if you have coded in some other language also, you can easily say that props are some arguments which we are passing from the function. Okay, and we can use those arguments inside the function body, inside return statement also. Now, second type of component, you have class component, where you are simply writing class as an extension, then class component name, and you extended that class component as a component package from React, and under that you are simply rendering that component, inside which you are returning something to the front end. So nothing very complex right now, but when we will talk about states, that thing is very complex in class components. So to make it easy, React just introduced hooks to us. Okay, so that's why we are going to use functional components in whole playlist. Now rendering a component, I have already told you, whenever we want to change something in our front end, we want to re-render our component so that it gets changed in our front end also. So this is the rendering of component. Now, so this was it for this video. This is it for this video. I've already told you what are components in React application, and what are types of components, and I have given you all the information about components. From next video, we will see one by one. In one video, we will see functional component, and how can you write a functional component in your VS Code or for your application. And in next video, we will see how can you write a class component for your React application. One more thing I want to tell you, if you haven't checked VS Code extensions yet, just go to VS Code extensions and type React here. Okay, so you will get a first extension, that is ES7 React Redux or React Native Snippets. Just install this extension. So what it does, it will make you write code in easier methods. So let's just say I want to write some functional component. Okay, I will simply write RFC, and it will get converted into a template ऑफ अ फंक्शनल कंपोनेंट, और जो भी इसका तुम्हारे फाइल का नाम होगा उसको वो उसी नाम से उस फंक्शनल कंपोनेंट को एक्सपोर्ट कर देगा। तो दैट्स वाई इसमें बहुत सारे एब्रीविएशंस होते हैं जिसको तुम यूज़ करके डायरेक्टली टेम्पलेट इंपोर्ट कर सकते हो। अगर मुझे क्लास कंपोनेंट इंपोर्ट करना है, I can simply write it as here. Okay, so that's why if you haven't installed it yet, just go and install it in your VS Code. So this is it for this video. I hope everything is clear for now. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in comment section. Again, if you haven't checked Newton School Launchpad Initiative, their grant coding contest and most amazing program, full stack development course, just go and check their full stack development course and get the most out of it. You can get a job for minimum of 5 lakh CTC without paying a single penny until and unless you get placed. And if you haven't subscribed this YouTube channel, just go subscribe this YouTube channel and bookmark this playlist ReactJS from scratch so that you can get regular updates. Thank you guys for watching this video.